All right, so thanks for joining us, everybody, today. We're really excited about this webinar. We're going to be discussing our new reports, the subscriber and churn analytics. There will be a few Chargify technical experts on the line, but please wait till the end of the demonstration and we will be more than happy to answer any and all questions and concerns related to the new analytics feature. So we encourage you to wait till the end of the demonstration. If you want to jot down some quick questions that you can relate a little bit later, we'd be more than happy to answer those at the end of the demonstration. So over the past few months, we've made it our mission to build and deliver powerful, transparent analytics for subscription-based businesses. As you know, in January, we introduced the MR analytics to delight our customers. We did it again in February with the revenue retention analytics. Now we're here today to show you our newest edition, the subscriber and churn analytics. These reports are aimed at providing deep visibility into the movements and health of your customer base. To kick things off, let's take a look at the subscriber analytics first. These are two separate reports, so we're going to be doing the subscriber one first. It's pretty straightforward, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the churn. So this 10,000-foot view into your subscriber basis may look a bit familiar since the layout has the same feel as the MRR reports. However, this report displays movements in relation to customer count rather than revenue. So if you've ever had any questions about how many subscribers did I have at a current point in time, this is your go-to analytics. So what these different graphs mean, the green one is going to represent your new business, which is your newly paid conversions. And then we have the blue line. That's the little bit that's sitting on top of those graphs. Those are reactivation. These are previously paying customers that have churned at some point and then reactivated their account. Then at the very bottom, we have the red portion, which is the churn, which is any paying customer that have canceled, or if you have a free plan that they can migrate or downgrade to, then that'll also be represented as churn as well. If you're just joining us, don't feel bad you didn't miss anything. I will be sending a recording of the webinar after we're all done. So everything that we've already covered will be sent out to you. So if you're just joining us, just hang tight. There will be a question section at the end of the webinar demonstration as well. Additionally, if you want to get a deeper look into these summaries, so you can hover over a specific month. So let's say I wanted to look at October 2016, and this will give me a breakdown of what my subscriber count looked like and what moved. So at that point in time, I had 31 additional subscribers. I didn't have anybody reactivate, but I did lose 25 to churn. So my total net growth after factoring the 25 lost against the 31 gain, that's a net growth of 6 customers. So pretty straightforward there. If I wanted to view the details, just like in the MR analytics, I can look at the specific footprints of movement. So these are the churn reason codes as well. So if you look at the churn portion, there's a Minerva Walsh, which is churn at no need. And we'll get into these in a little bit. But these are essentially the breakdowns of the different movements related to the subscriber count. Let's go ahead and go into the application just to see what all of these analytics actually look like in action. So here we have our subscribers report. And this is the same view that I was showing you inside the screen shares. So if I wanted to, I could break this down by based off of certain points in time. So if I wanted just to look at the last 30 days, I could do that. If I wanted to look at my quarter to date, I can do that. Things like that. So these are really geared towards what does my success look like on a subscriber basis? And at one point in time, did I lose certain subscribers? Things like that. If I wanted to get into this report, so I noticed that in the month of March, I had quite a bit of churn. So if I wanted to sort of dig around in here and see maybe there was some sort of issue that could give me some insight as to why there was so much churn in this month. So we just launched this new feature called churn codes. And churn codes are very easy to implement. We have a blog that details everything. It's very well documented on our help center as well. So if you have any questions about how to get that up and running, check out those resources. But this will essentially allow you to put a tag on those churn customers. So at the time that they cancel, they have an option to select why they're leaving. And this will also show up on these reports as well. So if I'm trying to figure out why did this customer leave, I can look in and see, okay, we were lacking a certain feature. If I wanted to go in even further, so if I'm maybe a product manager and I'm trying to see the specific steps behind this customer's cancellation, or maybe I'm a customer success agent and I want to understand the failure behind this particular subscription, then I can go in here and poke around maybe the activity. Maybe there's something that's showing inside here, any notes. If I want to go back to my help desk, I can do so. But this is really sort of the one and all tool when trying to look at specific subscribers and why they churned, why they left us, why there's any sort of movement in our subscriber basis, so to speak. So that's the graph view. We can also look at each of these data points in a table form. So if we want to look at something where we're just not looking at a visual representation, we want to digest those numbers, then you can scroll down and look here for this. Additionally, we also have at the bottom of the report a visual snapshot of the total subscriber count and growth rate. So for example, this bar right here at the very top, you'll notice that there's a little dot that appears to show me exactly where I'm at. I had 88 total 88 total subscribers, a net growth of 17. So my total growth was 23.9% from the previous period. So this will go up based off of what the growth was for that particular period. So you'll notice that percentage starts to go down a little bit, and that's reflected by this graph view. Viewing the details, by the way, will put you into that filter by the particular churn or new business step for those subscriber counts. All right, let's go and take a look at the Churn Analytics. So Churn Analytics assists in identifying key changes you can implement in order to make your business more successful. So with these tools, these churn analytics, this is essentially equipping you with the knowledge and the answers to those who, what, when, where, and why questions. For example, this provides you the visibility into the number of customers and revenue that you're losing. So if you're asking yourself, why am I losing money? Why am I losing subscribers? This is where you go. You can also create a baseline to track if customers' retention is improving. What do I do to improve my business? It's also key to determining your customer lifetime value. So where do I win? Where are my successes? It also helps identify who your most successful customers are. So who's staying? Who is leaving? Who is the person I'm trying to target towards? Who do I want to offer more incentives or maybe more add-ons based off of the products that are more successful in my account? So those are the questions that you can ask yourself. The last one is going to be that it allows for a more accurate financial forecast. So this is the when. When am I expecting this change? As a subscription-based business and company, we all know that at any time we can expect to see, or we don't necessarily expect it, but we know that some changes can potentially happen. We have large customers that churn. We have large customers that contract. With the churn analytics, you can potentially identify that footstep into that failing customer, and then there's no surprises anymore. So let's go ahead and break down each of these churn reports so we can toggle between these. And these are all available in the Churn Analytics tab, which I'll go over in just a minute. So the first one is the MRR churn rate. Before I go into this too much, because we're going to talk about the calculations and how each one is calculated on the churn side, I do want to note that the churn only looks at your existing paying customer bases and excludes any new business and also trial accounts as well. And the reason for this is because we're looking at the success of your current subscription basis. When your customer is new, your customer is onboarding, that's a different trial and success phase. With the churn rates, we're looking at who are our current customers versus who are we trying to win over. These are our customers that we already have won, but we don't want to lose them. So that's why we separate those two reports. So this one is our churn rate, and this is the rate at which the MRR is lost from canceled subscriptions. And the way we calculate this is the churn MRR divided by the start of period MRR. Next, we have our subscriber churn. So the subscriber churn rate is the rate at which your customers are canceling their subscriptions. How often do your customers come in on a monthly basis, and how often are they going in and canceling their accounts? That's what this number is providing you. And this is your subscriber churn count divided by your start of period subscriber count. Next, we have our gross MRR churn rate. And this is the rate at which the MRR is lost from both canceled subscriptions and contractions. So if we're just trying to, from a money point of view, understand what's being lost, we'll combine the churn MRR, the contraction MRR, and then divide that by the start period MRR. So where are all of our losts? Where is all of our money going? So this is essentially any money that's lost is going to be included in this MRR churn rate. So that's the gross portion. Then we have the net MRR churn rate. So the sum of MRR lost from canceled subscriptions and contractions, which are the downgrades. So if a customer goes from a $20 a month plan to a $10 a month plan, that's considered a contraction, plus gained from expansion. So if you have one customer that decides to upgrade from $10 to $20, those two subscribers, in a sense, negate each other. Your gain is the same as it was as if the customers didn't make any change on their part. And also the reactivation as well. So these are the canceled accounts that come back. A customer cancels, maybe they come back 3 months later and reactivate their account. So just a breakdown of how that's calculated. That's your churn MRR and your contraction MRR. That is also added to your expansion and your reactivation MRR. So again, the net MRR churn rate. So this is everything from a boilerplate perspective. And this can also be positive too. So positive net churn MRR indicates the value of your existing subscriber customer base is growing without factoring any new business. So that's a good thing. So essentially what it's saying is that your customers are growing in themselves. So maybe they're deciding the value of your product is better at a higher price point, and they're continuing to upgrade. They're not churning at a rate that affects the expansion in a negative sense. They can also be negative. So you notice that in April that we had a negative MRR net churn rate. And then we have the gross churn MRR, which is the sum of MRR lost from both canceled subscriptions and contractions, your downgrade. So this is your total loss. The churn MRR and contraction MRR divided by the start of period MRR. Then we have the net MRR churn rate, and this is the rate at which the MRR is lost or gained from canceled subscriptions and contraction, plus gained from expansion and reactivation. So in a sense, that's the net MRR churn divided by the start of period MRR. So what did that movement look like? Where were we now as opposed to 30 days ago? Where did I win from 30 days ago? If you're a little bit lost, don't worry. We do have a manifest of all of these churn reports and what exactly they represent, all of this is available in the blog and the help resources. I'll provide that at the end of the demonstration. And additionally as well, if you're having trouble looking at these graphics, there's also a table format. So all this data goes into those graphics is broken down in this table form for easy digestion. So you're just going in here, you're wanting to look at the numbers. You're sitting down with your CTO, your CEO, and you're just discussing the changes that you've made recently based off of your subscriber count, your churn, your MRR churn rate, and all of that is available here so you can watch those footprints and you can easily look at those percentages and those numbers and those dollar price points as well. Everyone's a big fan of cohorts, so we love to implement the churn cohorts whenever we can. At the bottom of this report is a cohort that looks at retention over time, and you can actually toggle between the MRR retained as either a percentage, you can do it as a dollar, you can even break it down based off of the subscribers rather than the MRR, so we're looking at the volume of our subscriptions rather than the dollar value. And again, that can be broken down by the percentage or the number as well. Let's go ahead and start to take a look at these churn analytics in action. So again, I'm in my analytics tab. I'm going to go over to my churn reports. And these were the graphic data that I was showing you. So if you want to toggle between these various reports, this is just how you go through those. So these are all available here. So depending on what you want to see, you'll just be able to toggle through those various different churn analytics. Again, you can break these down based off of the time dates. If you want to look at the last quarter, the year to date, you can do that as well. If we scroll down, we can see our table view. So these are all of the numbers that are being pumped into those tables so that we can look at these numbers in an easy, digestible manner, and we can see exactly where all of these numbers live. We've got like a nice little handy information toggle next to each of these. So if you ever have any confusion behind where these numbers are coming from, you can always go in here and just quickly hover over that to see, okay, I get that, my gross MRR churn rate is supposed to be, lower, but what exactly is it? So you can click in here and see what that is. Okay, scrolling down to the cohorts. Again, this is the same idea as just toggling between either your MRR, so your revenue, where is your money going, where is it being lost, or if you're wanting to look at your subscriber basis. So this is looking at this particular amount of subscriptions that you have. Again, you can also filter that based off of the percentage. These are going to be different views, so I'm not going to exactly give you the same numbers. So if we look at the 2 months in April 2016, we had a 73.9% retention rate for those subscribers. We retained a total of 23. But if we go into the MRR, this will change at 96.9%. So what that tells us is at a higher number, we actually kept the more valuable customers. That's what it says to us. All right, that's it for the churn analytics. Let's take a look at what's coming up next and some additional resources, and then we'll get into the questions section. So Chargify is always changing and adding improvements to existing and new features. Let's talk a little bit about the planned features that are coming out very, very soon. Oh, first, let's talk about the resources that you have at hand. Again, I know I mentioned the blog. So that'll give you more or less the same breakdown that we went over today, just in a blog format. So that'll give you all of those breakdowns and the definitions between each of those churn reports, how to toggle between the subscriber reports, things like that. And we also have it very well documented in our help center as well. And that'll include all of the reports so far. So now let's talk about our coming soon. So first and foremost, we do have our finance reports coming out very soon. So this is more on the finance, obviously, side of things when we're looking at the number of, where we're looking at the actual revenue that's retained based off of the coupons that are being used, based off of which products are being sold, the add-ons that are being used, which add-ons are more successful, which ones are more popular, things of that nature. So we're actually getting down to the nitty-gritty in what exactly is being purchased and the value of individual products and pricings and plans. That you have to look forward to in the financing reports. We have heard you. We know that you want the CSV exports. We would love to have those as well. So those will come out very soon. We know everybody's very eager to see these in a CSV export because, you know, these are great. These are phenomenal. But it would be great to be able to export these as well and just take those to your board, take those to your CEO, etc., and then just say, here, look, this is why we're winning. And it would make it a lot simpler. So that's something that we're currently working very hard at. And then we have another upcoming webinar next week. The QuickBooks integration was just launched. I believe it was launched last night. If not, it went live this morning. So that is actually available for everybody to test out. If you have more questions about the QuickBooks integration, what that looks like, and how that's implemented, and you need some immediate help, please feel free to contact our support. We're more than happy to help there.